Resume recording here. We're going to get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 10K Project. We're the nation's largest community of small dollar investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. But we also care about your wealth building journey. So once a month, we get together and we do what we call a peer-to-peer conversation. And tonight's conversation is all about multiple streams of income, semi-passive and passive streams of income. And we're super excited. So I've asked everybody to put within the chat what you're looking forward to getting from this evening. I have a couple of exercises for us to do. I'm sure that Tawana is going to add her 2 cents in. And we are also going to open up the lines so that you are able to come on, and audio only. You're able to tell us what you're thinking, answer some of the questions that we have for this evening, etc. So I didn't even prep Tawana with regards to this. She's been back to back, but I promise you it won't bite. It'll be a lot of fun. So let's start off with a question here. Put a 1 in the chat if you already have multiple streams of income. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not. Don't be embarrassed either way. 1 in the chat if you already have multiple streams of income. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Okay. So we do have people here who are saying they don't, and that's perfectly fine. Tonight's conversation is to get your wheels turning about some ways that you can add income, no matter how small it is, into your wealth building toolkit. So let's do this. So Tawana, I'm going to start off with a little, it's going to be an interactive presentation, but I just need the presentation as my guide here. So we're going to start off here with talking about multiple streams of income and some of the conversation we can have around it. And the first question, whenever I listen to a woman I really like, Erica Williams, she's been on here before, she always asks us, what's your freedom number? What's our freedom number? In other words, how much money do you need every month coming in for you to leave your job, or leave that business that isn't functioning well for you, or whatever it is? And she often says a lot of times it's less than you think. So how much you can just put in for just panelists if you want to, but I would like to know what your freedom number is. What's your freedom number? And have you ever even thought of that? Tawana, you can answer. You don't have to tell us your freedom number, but you can answer just overall.
So yes, I've definitely, I've thought about my freedom number, and then I realized my freedom number was too low to really get me freedom. Mm-hmm. So I had to increase my freedom number. So I say that to say it is not a number you just pull out of a hat, right? You really do need to sit and do the budget, do the finances, right? What is the number that you truly need to feel like you have freedom? And it's really an exercise to come up with that number, and think about what you want the quality of your life to be when you're thinking about that number, right? Do you still want to maybe work part-time somewhere? Do you want to be able to travel? That may take even more. Do you want to be able to, put money away still for the kids' school and all of those things? You have to add all of that in the assessment when you're thinking about what this number is. But I agree, you've got to, we always talk about making goals, right? You have to make a goal in order to know how hard you've got to work. And this is a way to do that. What is that financial goal that you want to be able to, let some of the stuff go that you're doing?
Yeah, and I think that there are 2 types of freedom numbers. There's the one that Tawana is talking about, which is the all-encompassing freedom number. But then there's also the freedom number that if you had your basic bills taken care of and you've got, let's say, a side business that could really take off, that within 3 years you could triple your take-home income, that's also a freedom number as well. So one of the things, and that's the reason why Erica says sometimes our freedom numbers are lower than we think, because it's the cost of getting back your time. It's the cost of getting back your time so that you can put your time into other activities. So, for
More
example, my
meaningful
freedom
activities.
goal, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said more meaningful activities.
More meaningful, more profitable activities, etc. So yeah, my big goal is 30,000 a month. That's like my ultimate freedom number. However, my freedom number right now is about $4,500. I think 4,500. You know, uh, which is vastly different, right? Because now I have the ability to do different activities that could take me from being an hourly worker, you know, $50 an hour to making, 250, 300, $400 an hour with my business. So we have a couple of people here saying 10 grand is a start. 10 grand a month.
I think I'm with Abel and Jackie. 10 sounds a lot better.
Well, it always sounds a lot better, but this is one of the conversations that people have with regards to freedom number. But I will say this: I think it's difficult for us to have meaningful discussions internally about multiple streams of income without knowing this number, without knowing what you're aiming for. It's like driving a car and not knowing where you're going, or thinking about your retirement and not knowing how much you need and not knowing uh, what that's going to look like at the end of the day. So then the next
That's an
thing
interesting.
is,
That's an interesting way to see it.
say that again.
I was just saying I was just saying that's an interesting way to think about it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we all need some sort of a map to know where we're going. And then the next thing is the passive income calculator. So I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to show you all a website, and I'm also going to put the URL in the chat. So give me a second here to do this. I found a passive income calculator online that I thought was pretty cool. This is it here. Put a 3 in the chat if you want the URL. I'm gonna make y'all work for it. Put a 3 in the chat if you want the URL to the passive income calculator. I need to see the 3s coming through. Good. All right, so here it is. So you all can grab this. This is the passive income calculator that I found. I played with it a little bit today. And Tawana, I'm going to ask you to give me some numbers. You can make them up.
Okay.
So annual household income after taxes. What do we want to put in here? 97?
Yeah.
Okay. Annual savings.
7.
What does a person have in savings now?
2.
Okay. Their current age.
46.
Okay. And how old are they going to be when they start taking passive income?
50.
Ooh, okay. So you
No, that's aggressive. That's aggressive, right?
that's
Okay,
very
55.
aggressive. Yes. That's why you need the calculator so you can play with it a bit. But you're making 97, you have an annual savings of 7,000. Now, one of the things they say is they don't assume that you're going to have any blips in life, right? What's in your savings now? 2,000. You're 46 today, and you're going to start taking money in 4 years. So passive income at age 50 is $1,200 basically. And accumulated savings at age 50 is 35,000. So this is obviously a far way from $10,000, right? $10,000 a month. So really, it needs to be $100,000 a year. This is a long way from it, but I do think that this is a way for you to start thinking about your passive income. And one of the things we're going to talk about today are, number one, ways to increase the amount of savings that you can have, and then number two, other passive streams of income. So this says here, your passive income comes to about 1% of your current after-tax income. If this is less than you want for your standard of living, you might consider saving more, working longer, and or getting a better plan for growing your nest egg. So, again, you all are able to play around with this calculator. What do you think, Tawana?
I like this tool. This is really good to be able to play with, to see, okay, what's realistic, what's
Mhm.
and as you change whatever that freedom number is, this is something good to plug in the new numbers, right? Because you
Right.
you said you want to start at 4, but ultimately you want 30. So this is something good that'll take you through all the stages of that growth as well.
Yes, yes. So within here, they do talk about, your increased standard of living, and they talk about saving more. I personally believe you probably would overestimate in this tool the amount of money that you can save. So, in the chat, tell me ways that you can increase your savings. How could you increase your savings?
I do
And think
think it's
outside the
interesting the
box too.
calculator. I think it's interesting the calculator doesn't talk about investment, but it only talks about saving.
Hmm.
That's very interesting because we all know that even the return on a saving, when you think about the interest you get in a bank account and all of that, is very low. And some of
Yes.
those returns could be higher if you invested those same dollars in certain places. So
Mhm.
I think that there's something to that being added in as well.
Which is why I think they say getting a better plan for growing your nest egg. I think that is the
Mhm.
investing piece of it, based on what I'm reading. And then you do have the eighth wonder of the world, which is, of course, the multiplication factor. And, as you start putting money into, for example, the market, or we talked a couple of weeks ago with Tamara Tolbert Bush, whom I need to text again and say, okay, when are you coming out with those tax liens? Because we need them. People are making
She said the end of
18%
the
or more.
month, right? Then she said,
I thought she said the end of March, so I was on her. I
yeah.
emailed her at on April 2nd, and I asked, "Do you have?" But it probably got lost in her email. But I did ask her if she was open and when she was going to be open for us doing that. Um, but other ways. So I see here we got something in the chat here. Cut down on unnecessary spending. That's a possibility too. Sometimes you do need to think about things that you're spending unnecessarily. But then sometimes you want to think about growing your income too. So I'm a big fan of start the side hustle and have that side hustle add to your savings. So let's play with the calculator a little bit. Let's say you have a very good side hustle that after taxes brings you $37,000. Now all of a sudden, your money savings by age 50 is 173,000. And of course, this is 37,000 after taxes. So now you could start playing with, okay, how would I, if I knew that I needed to grow my income, what are some ways that I could do it? Is there a side hustle that I can use just to focus on putting the money away and not just saving it but investing it? And if you have 4 years time span, you want to invest it in things that are safer, and have maybe a small portion of your portfolio for 10K project, but you do want to focus on safer investments. So um, thoughts with regards to that. What other numbers do you think we could change in here? Put it in the chat for me. Put in the chat for me which numbers you would like me to change, and you can see it here. Okay, so I'm going to change here starting passive income. Let's say you wait a decade. Let's say instead of 50, you're willing to wait until 60. Well, then your passive income is 34,000 and your savings accumulated is 835,000. So again, just adding another 10 years and adding some more income. And like Tawana said, that doesn't even include investing in some of the things like even Dr. Kelly's course, right? The stock options or the tax liens. There are other things we can invest in as well that are, I'm going to call them cash cows, or give us really good return on our investments. So,
Well, let's
Tawana.
talk a little bit. I was going to say, let's talk a little about you started this talking about the side hustle.
Mhm.
I think sometimes people get intimidated by the side hustle because they start thinking about the business venture, right? Instead of thinking about what are the things I already do for my group, right? I'm already the person that bakes for my inner circle, right? My family, my friends, people at work, the community, so maybe you turn that into a profitable thing. Maybe you don't charge them $70 for a cake like I see some of these people charging, but maybe you charge them $30 for a cake, right? But you start and that becomes a side, something you already do, something you already love. Maybe it's I've got a friend she's a seamstress, right? So when you need simple things, she's not going to make the wedding dress, but she may make something simple if you need something like that. She loves to sew. So it could, when you don't allow yourself to get intimidated by thinking you've got to build a business around this thing to make more money, the side hustle becomes a little more doable. And it allows you to put that money aside and just really keep it for the purpose of, getting to whatever that financial freedom space is, or that place of passive income or multiple streams.
Right, absolutely. So I'm going to pull out my calculator here, just because I don't have a calculator up on my screen. But let's say that you want to have $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year. And let's say that we're putting, our money, diversifying it amongst stock options, tax liens, things like that. And let's say we just get a 15% return on our money. Okay. That means that, let's see, $120,000 a year. And I divide that, I believe, by 0.15. Yeah, I need $800,000 as a base if I want to get $10,000 a month, right? So we do have to be realistic about the numbers. That doesn't mean we, gasp at the numbers, because this could be accumulated, for example, over a 15-year period of time from a side hustle, from the right side hustle. So if I were to take that $800,000 and divide it by 15, that's $53,000 a year. After taxes, that's, just in your side hustle. Some of you have very high paying skills that you could turn this into a profitable side hustle. We had, for example, last week, we had Alze Calhoun come on and talk about how to be a highly paid consultant. Put a 5 in the chat if you were here for Alze Calhoun. We did have a great showing for that. If not, it's in the Knowledge Center. But things like that, it is possible for you to start off at barely zero and be able to do this. Do you think, Tawana, this is something that a lot of people can do if they really kind of sat back and brainstormed? Do you think that this is something that people could potentially do?
I absolutely do. I think it's about the brainstorming. I think it's about the dedication to it, right? And being able to be dedicated to it. Because anything you do on this, any passive income option that I know of is going to take a little time and planning, right? Nobody's knocking on the door and saying, "Here's, just give me some free money every month," right? So it's about stopping what you're doing, right? And figuring out what that thing is and what you need, right? Figure out your freedom number and figure out how to make it, and just spend a little time here and there. Even if you spend a few minutes every day on whatever that plan is, gets you one step closer to success. And you don't have to, they always say you have to have at least 5 to 7 multiple streams of income. You don't have to get 5 to 7 at the same time, right? I can tell you, I have been a victim of feeling like I've got to make up for lost time and feeling like I've got to get like 7 things all at once. You can't do 7 things all at once. So you get one good one, get some passive income, get it running like a well-oiled machine, right? To where you don't have to babysit it a lot. And because that's the whole passive piece, right? And then you move to the second stream. Don't feel like there's this rush to the finish line, because then you're gonna be working too hard at it, and you're gonna defeat the whole passive purpose.
Right. Another thing that I will say is some of you are underpaid in your jobs or in your careers. And for some of you, the way to get more savings is to leave the job that's not paying you appropriately and finding something that would pay you appropriately, especially if you kept your same lifestyle once you got that raise. So what do you think about that, Tawana?
That's a very good point. That's probably the best point of the night, because we are, many people fall into jobs, right? Or somebody told us get the city job or the government job because it was stability. And, you really need to find the fit and find something that makes you happy, but you ultimately need something that's going to pay you what you're worth. And some of these jobs that we're in, they don't do that, right? And sometimes it's because we've been, loyal to them, right? So we've stayed around for 20, 30 years, but you're not getting, 10, 15% increases every year, right? Yeah. Those days are long gone. Lucky if you get 2 to 5. So you almost have to leave and get a higher paying job where you can get that 10, 15% increase annually, stay there for a couple of days and do it all over again. And I know some of you people out there saying, no, you're not supposed to job hop like that, right? That is held against you. It might look, it might raise questions, right? Well, how come you've had, 5 jobs in, this amount of time in 10 years? But there's answers to that, right? The answer is, I wanted to grow, I wanted to develop. And unfortunately, the job I was at, the growth and development opportunity wasn't there. Right? Annually 2% increases wasn't allowing me to get to where I needed to be with some kind of level of financial freedom. Jobs understand that. And I know we're not used to saying that to them in response, right? We're used to making up stories, right? But you don't have, and I'm an HR person telling you this, you don't have to make up stories, because we know the downfall of our industry, right? We know you're only getting 2% raises every year, even if you deserve 20. We know that. We also know that we're paying people who come in after you more, right? Because we're paying them market value for today, where we paid you market value from 10 years ago. So we know that. So when you answer the question, why have you job hopped? We understand the truth of the matter. And I don't think they're going to hold that against you. So I think that's something that we have to start doing, is knowing our worth and value. And I don't know that I know, Sheree, we've had conversations where you've talked about, like, as people acquire different skills, going to your job and saying, now I have the skill set, pay me more. I think that's a good try. Most companies probably won't do it, right? Because they're just not smart enough to value that, right? Sometimes they get in their own way with that. And they figure they can get somebody else to do it, maybe even cheaper, who knows? But I think there's something said about you knowing your worth and your value, and being brave enough to say, I can do this same thing and make a great impact on another employer that is able to pay me more, right? Because we're not working because we love it. Even if we love it, we're not working because we love it, because that's why they call it work, right? We're expecting it to give us the revenue that we need to make a living, to get to that financial freedom stage, even if that's retirement or whatever the case is. So I think we just have to be brave enough to say, I think I'm worth more. And sometimes it takes just a few minutes looking to see what's out there. You'd be surprised, right? I'm one of those people, I've been at my employer for over 20 years. I've done various things in the organization, but I've been there. Every so often, I look to see what other companies are doing. What are they hiring? What are they, you don't know what's out there until you look, right? Even if you're happy in your job. If money is the driver, how you make more money is sometimes to leave. I mean, most of the time, that's the way you make it. And that again, an HR person telling you this. Most money is not made in promotions at the same place. Most money is made promoting to a different position at a different place.
Yes. I will also say the one thing that's happening now that is in our favor is a lot of companies, big and mid-size, want to do things to help Black people, especially Black professionals. Google has all sorts of certifications, and I'm sure if you did your research, you could probably figure out how to get them for free. Same thing with a lot of certification organizations. If you don't have a lot of money, even if you do have a lot of money and you just want to contact us, hey, I'm an African American, I'm in this industry, I'm looking to get this certification, it's $3,000. What can you do? You never know. They may say, we want more African Americans to get this certification, so we're willing to give it to you. Or, we're willing to give it to you for, 25% or 50% or whatever. As Tawana is saying, the monkey branching does work. I saw that from the white males that I worked with in my last job, who ended up making 25 grand more than I was making at the same job. So I saw it firsthand. The second is certifications. If there are ways that you can monkey branch up, instead of monkey branching laterally, then you could have an exponential growth in your company. Sorry, in your life.
Employment journey. Yeah. And the other part of that is just with the certifications, it doesn't mean you go to that next company and stay for 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. But if they're offering something, take it. Listen, we work for companies, we give them our all, right? And then at any moment they could close, they could downsize, they could sell, whatever the case is, right? And then we're left to figure out our next step, right? And we understand that when we take these jobs, we understand that nothing is permanent. We get that. But in the same sense, our plan isn't permanent. We deserve to change our minds. We deserve to grow. We deserve to say, I want to benefit from this thing you are offering. And then I want to take that skill set and take it somewhere else to make more money. Or if you value me enough, you'll let me keep it here and you'll pay me more money. We get to set the terms. I learned the art of negotiation very late in life, and I hate myself for it, right? I saw other people doing it and I thought, well, no, people should just know you're good. People should just know you're worthy. They should be happy to have you. That's the joke. I was fooling myself, right? People don't know unless you tell them, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to tell them by leaving. And I've seen that with colleagues, and they've been able to go other places and set their terms. I've done a little of it within my organization where I've been able to say, I really want this job, but you gotta do something else. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing it for free. And there have been some times where I've wanted the opportunity so much that I did it for free because I just wanted to learn that other little thing, right? That was more about me than them. So I think we have to learn how to be a little more selfish in these roles, because if the journey is passive income, then in saving, right? Being able to get that nest egg saved, we've got to accumulate this wealth in the best ways we possibly can. Right. Because as we just saw in the calculator, even 2-3 years matters.
Mm-hmm, it does. So I want to go back to the calculator. But before I do that, I'm feeling a little generous. So Tawana, I hope you forgive me for this. I'm going to give a $10 Amazon gift card based on who is $10 Amazon gift card. We're going to be generous tonight. So everybody get to the chat, $10 Amazon gift card. If you can tell me the amount of money that you would need in order to have $100,000 a year coming in at the 15% return on your capital. I said it before. For some of you, it's a no problem number. For others, you might have gasped. But what was the number? I said, if you wanted 120,000 a year, because you all said 10,000 a month, 120,000 a year to the 15% return on your money, on your capital that you have to invest and live on. How much? No, it's not 100K. It's higher. 3 million. Nope, too high.
Lower.
Lower. Yes. No, higher. Latrice got it right. Latrice got it right. $800,000. 800.
There you go.
Latrice, email me, and I'll make sure to get you your $10 Amazon gift card. You can email me info@the10kproject.com. Okay, I want to go back to our calculator here because I just saw something as Tawana was talking. I'm like, duh. Okay, we started off talking about annual household income of $97,000 after taxes. Then you have your annual savings of $37,000. You have $2,000 in savings now. You're starting at age 46 and you're going through age 60. So you have a 12-year span of time. If you have an annual savings rate of $37,000, you're at how much accumulated savings by age 60? How much? Put it in the chat. How much in accumulated savings? Is it too small, Tawana? Can people see it?
No, we can see it. No, we can
835. Exactly. 835. Okay. So this is a prime example of what we can do. So let's say you get you do what Tawana said, you get another job and you're able to get $1,000 a month extra from that job. Let's say it's after taxes because we don't want to deal with taxes. $1,000 a month. Okay. That shifts into your 37,000 and then you only need 25,000 from a side hustle. That's basically $2,000 additional per month from a side hustle to get to this 37,000. So put a 6 in the chat if you think this is easy, at least to understand and possibly even to implement. Put a 6 in the chat. Because to me, now we start thinking strategically about how this can be done. And you can even sell baked goods every month and get $2,000 a month.
The key is you got to put that extra 1,000 that you got to put it away, right? You almost didn't see it because we get tempted by the raises and the increases and the extra money, right? The windfalls are very tempting to then go out and buy something that we probably don't need, or maybe we did need it, but we were going to do without it anyway. We have to be disciplined enough to say that 1,000 extra that you're getting from that new job, tuck it away. Live on what you already were making and truly tuck it away. The baked goods sales, tuck it away. You know, I'm always, I'm intrigued by the beauty industry, like beauticians and barbers, because they're a cash industry, right? I mean, everything they do is about cash. And I remember a year ago talking to my beautician and asking her, how do you stay disciplined not to spend all that cash you have at the end of the day and not go to the mall, right? But and I think she admitted that it's very difficult because you want to shop when really this is bill money. So you have to learn how to immediately take it to the bank and put it somewhere where you don't have access to it easily, right? Once you convert it out of that cash into something else. But it comes back to that discipline and dedication to that future plan. Right. And how bad do you want it? How bad do we want financial freedom? How bad do we not have to want to, do what we're doing today and struggle and or work really, really hard when you may not have to work as hard in your own thing? How bad do we want it? How hungry are we?
Right. So there are two more things with regards to what we're showing here on the screen. Number one is, I'm going to piggyback off of what Tawana said. And I remember when I worked in corporate America, you were able to put on the payroll form how much money you wanted to go into each bank account. So you could technically have, Tawana Investment Corp and a part of your payroll money going right into that bank account, or it could just be Tawana Rivers and this is my investment bank account. And then the second thing is you start from age 46 getting into tax liens, learning everything you can about tax liens, saying, hey, out of this 37,000, don't put it all in tax liens immediately, but maybe you take $5,000 and you put it into tax liens and you just get your feet wet, or even $2,000 to start with. And then you, again, may learn about stock options. You take Dr. Kelly DeClue's class, or we have another guy coming on, Asian Dave, who is an options trader. We had another gentleman talk about how to trade stocks like a data scientist, et cetera. Those things could end up being your side hustle too. Not only are you able to do them for yourself, but you may end up becoming so good that other people may want you to consult them to teach them how to do it themselves. So what I'm trying to say is we haven't even added the multiplier effect to these. As Albert Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world. It's like, it's not cumulative interest, but I'm forgetting the exact term of it, but it's that multiplier effect. So imagine if for 12 years, you're putting 37,000 a year into an investment account, and you're taking that 37,000 and you're making 15% on it. You're buying rental properties, you're, doing stock options, you're doing tax liens, et cetera. You probably would end up with more than 835,000. And then during retirement, your whole job is to manage this money to get you 15% a year so that you can get your 120,000 a year. I think that is one of the simplest ways that we can think about this. Simplest ways. So I'm going to show one more thing, Tawana.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'm going to show everybody the 25 passive streams of income that we have, and it's also in the Knowledge Center as well. So this is in the Knowledge Center, 25 passive and semi-passive streams of income. I'll make this bigger here so that everybody can see the screen a little bit better. So I'm going to just read through them, Tawana. Stop me when you see something that interests you that you want to talk about. So dividend stocks, stock options.
So what's interesting with dividend stocks, so this week, I don't know if this was dividend stock anniversary or something, but this week on social media, I saw information about dividend stocks, I know in like 20 different places. So this is a hot topic right now. I don't know, maybe people got their dividend checks. Maybe that's what it is. Because this is a very, very hot topic. If you don't know what dividend stocks are, they are stocks that pay you a dividend, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of holding it for 20, 30 years with no return until you sell it, these stocks are, they offer you some form of payment. Most of the time they're quarterly, if I'm not mistaken. But this is something to really investigate the stocks that offer dividends, because not all stocks do. But this is a very, very hot topic this week. So I love that it was number one on your list.
Yes, yes. And I will say a couple of things. When I was working with Garen Williams, many of you don't know Garen, but he's a stock aficionado. We took a look at different types of dividend stocks and the yields. And I will say that the ones with the higher yields are risky. And the ones with the lower yields are blue chip and they tend to be safe. You want to think about your age. You want to think about your risk tolerance and all sorts of things, but as you're putting money into the riskier dividend stocks. I will say I don't believe it is easy for you to get 15% on dividend stocks that are not risky. When I did the research a while ago, it was typically about 3 to 5%. But again, all of that money accumulates over time. So you don't want to have everything necessarily in risky stuff. But dividend stocks, yeah. Also, I will say, when we had the session, how to trade stocks like a data scientist, the gentleman told us that he has a system where you're able to buy the stocks like 15 days in advance, get the dividend, and you get the dividend without having to hold it long term. So he had an interesting way of explaining it. I'm sure you can go back to that, find it in the Knowledge Center, and hear that if you're interested in any kind of stock investing. The second is stock options, which we talked a lot about today. The third, and I have to admit, I want to learn how to do options as well when I get some time to focus on it. The third are rental properties.
My when I get some time list is real long. That's on my when I get some time list on.
Yes. You know what? And I'm thinking of putting a group together where like we have 10 people and two of us, like we have people in groups of two, and we research whatever passive income we decide to research, and everybody comes back with their research report and their recommendations. Obviously, I would do my own research afterwards, but and then they would say, okay, out of all of our research, these are the three things that we think you should focus your time on. Like I would love something like that. And that way I'm able to cut down on all the research that I have to personally do with regards to these.
Yeah.
But rental properties is another one. I know the good and the bad of rental properties. When they work well. When they don't, it's kind of tough. So I'm a fan of paper assets personally, but I do know some people are building that 120,000 a year with rental properties, and I support it. I just refuse to do it personally. High yield savings accounts is another one. Right now they're kind of low, but annuities is another. I'm going to invite someone on to talk about annuities specifically, because I do know the wealthy use annuities to their advantage, and I've never been able to figure out how they do it and what they're doing with annuities. So we definitely want to figure out the annuities game as a community. CD laddering, and again, Tawana, you can stop me at any time. CD laddering is basically when you go to a bank and you have money and you want to put in a certificate of deposit, but instead of putting all of your money in at once, let's say you have $30,000, instead of putting all of your money in to mature at the same time, what people do is they will have I said 30,000. So they'll have 6 different CDs that mature at different times. So one will mature in 12 months. Then the second one will mature in 18 months. The third one will mature in 2 years, et cetera. And that way you always have a CD maturing. And my insurance agent taught me this, the CD laddering. You just have to make sure you're getting enough of a return in order for it to. Peer-to-peer lending is another big one. I
actually found there's a founder that's doing peer-to-peer lending a very creative way that I'm going to schedule a meeting with. Maybe we'll see some of this in the pitch, the Bet on Black pitches with him if the conversation is good and I look at the project a little deeper. But I thought it was interesting. He created this project during COVID. As a result of having to borrow money from like family. So I thought this was interesting how he got this, but built a whole platform around it. But I'm going to research that a little bit more. But I agree, peer-to-peer lending is a good solution. But I think you want to have there has to be some structure behind that, right? It can't just be I'm loaning someone some money and I'm going to get back a little bit of interest. Needs to be some structure around that to really make it profitable.
Right. So the biggest peer-to-peer lender was Lending Tree. Lending Tree was the big one where you could put in small dollars. And the structure is, my understanding is that the structure from the investor point of view is you're able to go in and you're able to see people and based on their rankings and their ratings. So the system will tell you what their credit scores are, and then you can say, I only want people who are in A grade, while an A grade of person is going to bring you less return on your capital than a D grade. So they had A, B, C, and D. This was like 5 years ago when I looked at it. They had A, B, C, and D. And if you lent to somebody with a D credit score and D rating, then you would get more return on capital, but they were also riskier as well. So if that's your thing, again, this is where I'm a fan of the family banks. Get your 12, 13-year-old to take a look at it potentially and see if this is something that your family bank wants to do. Number 8 is sell a book online. Number 9, sell a course online. So these are some passive and semi-passive things you can do. License your music if you're a musician, or art. These days, with the NFTs, those are non-fungible tokens in the blockchain space. People are making money with their art, with their music, with other types of talents, etc. Create an app. So this is really funny because I've been wanting somebody to create a specific exercise app. I keep looking in the app store, waiting for somebody to come up with a specific exercise app that I'm looking for. But some of you are able to create passive income if you can create an app that people really want to use. Affiliate marketing, network marketing, help businesses bring in clients. So some of you are great networkers. This is an opportunity for you. List your place on Airbnb, rent out your car, vending machines.
Which is another business right now. The rent out your car is a big business right now. Mm-hmm. There's several companies popping up that do this, that provide this service. I think it's, again, I'm always intrigued by things that we would never have considered, right? Mm-hmm. Letting a stranger get in your car. We never would have considered that 10 years ago. And now it's a business that several are benefiting from tremendously.
Yes. So storage rentals, you could own storage rentals. Laundromat. Oh, I'm going to go back to the storage rentals. Also, if you have family member or friends that don't want to go to like the official storage rental facility, and you have a garage or something like that, a shed, just make sure you get their credit card and bill them every month. Don't wait for the check, but a laundromat. Now, I have to admit with laundromats, I don't know how well they do. I think it depends on the area that you're in, but this was on the list that we had received. Flip retail products. So you can buy retail products low and sell them higher. And people do that for semi-passive income. Start a drop shipping store, run a blog or a social channel, create a print on demand store. So some people have mentioned t-shirts, for example, or books or things like that. Flip websites is another way. And of course, because we are the 10K Project, invest in a business. And if you invest small dollars in a business, that can also be a passive way for you to eventually get money. So, Tawana, there you go. So,
there I go.
Any other thoughts that you have, Tawana, and anybody in the chat? I'm gonna look in the chat now. Somebody wrote a big thing. Yes. So Virginia is saying, this is great information. This is my 33 years in public education. I absolutely love my 6-figure job as a district administrator in a large urban school district and all the fringe benefits. Yep. That come with being a public education. However, I am looking to transfer my skills as an educational administrator and build my own consulting and management business. One goal stream is to get into the government contracting space. I also want to be 8A certified and create employment opportunities for others. My current job is the funding source for my business because I know you need the capital to start a business. I appreciate all that I am learning from the 10K platform. Thank you, Tawana and Cherie. Well, thank you, Virginia. I will say one thing though. The profits, like big profits, are in the private space and not the government space. So you might want to think about taking some of your consulting and consulting with private companies that want to sell to schools. For example, last year I worked with a gentleman who, no, he was a math teacher already, so he knew a little bit from the teacher point of view, but he was trying to sell his product to administrators, and he was struggling with that. If you know how the inner workings of selling to school administrators work, my suggestion to you would be to consult with private companies that want to do business with school systems. You make a lot more money, a lot more profit. Okay. I mean, you can still do the 8A and all the government stuff as well, but I would suggest that too. And there are other things you can, because you're a school administrator, you may know other things about edutech, for example, or things like that you can consult on with companies as well. So, alrighty then. So Virginia's saying
that's because I do. That's good. So what about? So I'm going to sit here for a minute. What about? So like, you know how the list comes out of the schools that are struggling in different areas, different cities or states, and rural areas and populated areas. Is that something where Virginia could use those consulting schools to help them get up to the standard? Is that Virginia, is that something that you would be able to consult
we would have to ask her about it. And not only do they need it, but are they willing to pay for it? So she's saying, yes, that's what I currently do. Are they willing to pay for it though, is the question. If they're willing to pay for it and you can make a nice profit out of it, then absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Awesome. Well,
I know you guys learn from us, but I learn something every time we have a session. I do. So I thank the 10K project too. I learn something every single time.
So I want to invite, if anybody wants to speak, to either raise your hand or put it in the chat that, yes, I want to speak. I will not put you on camera, but I would love to have you come on and just say something that you learned this evening. If you don't want to be on camera and you don't want to speak, put in the chat something that you learned this evening from today's conversation. We always like to leave with that. Tawana, what did you learn?
I learned that I'm going to download that calculator and I'm going to start working on my freedom number. Not my overall, this is what I need, right? But my just what I really want that monthly passive income to look like. I don't know that I've ever had that conversation with myself. I've always looked at the bigger picture, right? What do I want the monthly to look like, period, but not just segmenting that passive. So I'm going to do that. So I learned that I need a tool to use to help me with my assessment. Yeah.
Latrice is saying CD laddering. Never heard about that before. Yep. It's definitely Google it. Check it out. Ang Smith is saying CD laddering as well. Virginia is saying the money tool calculator. Felicia is saying, thank you. Love learning about the money tool calculator. Denise is saying, I learned new ways to make extra money. Yeah. Perfect. Well, you guys have been great tonight. So everybody's shy right now. That's okay. This is, just once a month. One of the things when we did our survey last year that the community said you wanted was more peer-to-peer conversations. And we wanted to definitely honor that. So once a month, we're going to have these types of conversations. The Bet on Black pitch is in an hour. Tawana, you want to give us a hint?
So I'll give you a hint. So tonight, 8:00, Bet on Black pitch. The entrepreneur that we have coming to speak to us today is a watchmaker.
Not only are they a watchmaker, they're really good. They're really good.
I'm actually a consumer. So I think I shared this yesterday. I'm a consumer of the product. And when I saw he had a raise, I was like, oh, like, oh my God, I've got to talk to him. So of course I took a picture of my collection, and we own all of the collection except for 2. And so I took a picture of the collection and I sent it when I DM'd him. I sent the picture and then I said who I was with the 10K. And he was like, where'd you get this picture from? I said, this is my pictures. This is my collection. So of course that started the conversation. He was all in after that, but he's going to be interesting to talk to. Very nice guy. I say that about them all, right? They're all awesome in my eyes. They're all nice. I truly have not spoken to a founder that wasn't just intriguing. I haven't talked to any that even the ones that we haven't brought on the pitch, I haven't yet talked to any that I thought, they're shady, they're no good. All of these founders are awesome. I wish we could pitch. I wish we had more Tuesdays, right? Because that's our issue is we only do it on Tuesdays. But I run out of days before I run out of founders. So I wish we had more time. We could highlight them every day of the week, but who's got enough money to do that? Because we want to be able to help them. If we had too many pictures, we wouldn't be able to make a dent in it. But I mean, they truly all are really wonderful to talk to, and they all seem to be doing great things, and they all have their different stories, no different than we all do. But it's just wonderful that they've stepped out on faith in many situations and bet on themselves. That's really what this is about. They bet on themselves first, and now we get to bet on them.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to give everybody an hour to get yourselves together for the watch company tonight. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you at 8 o'clock. Take care, everybody.
Bye.